Hey, Pat, I don't know if you're in there or you can hear me. This is Brooke St. George. On the meeting links that you sent out, the one under confidential is the main meeting here, and the one on the open meeting is the confidential meeting, in case anyone else is confused.
Hi, this is Ken. Pat's not in the room right now, but we'll get that squared away. Thanks for letting us know.
Sure thing, thank you.
Pat, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, Pat's at the computer right now getting it sorted out.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's
So this one is, this one makes it open.
okay. Okay, so
We're good, we should be good.
yeah, so now we need to go back and log in for the confidential one that we were just
But
on.
you are logged into the confidential.
Okay,
It says confidential on that one.
okay.
I'll
So
go and
she-
check.
She was in,
Possibly, yes.
yeah, okay. Oh,
The time is now 12:04, calling the meeting to order. Pat, can we take roll call, please?
Councilmember Peggy McMahon, here, Town of Fountain Hills, sorry.
That's okay.
I've had a week already. Councilmember Maxine White, City of Avondale.
Here.
Councilmember Laura Pastor, City of Phoenix.
Here.
Councilmember Jimmy Davis from the City of Avondale.
City of
Tolleson, sorry, so sorry.
Vice
And
Mayor, present.
Councilmember Jennifer Adams from the City of Tempe.
Present.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Chair,
you.
we can proceed.
Thank you so much. We'll move into item 1, public comment. The public will be provided with an opportunity at this time to address the committee on non-agenda items and all action agenda items. Up to 3 minutes will be provided per speaker unless the chair allows more at her discretion. A total of 15 minutes for all speakers will be provided. Pat, do we have any comment from the public?
No, ma'am.
I would just like to add a comment. Today is the National Day of Mourning for the 39th President of the United States of America, Jimmy Carter. So I would just like for all of us to pause and take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. We appreciate the life and legacy of the 39th President of the United States, and we do extend our condolences and sympathy to his family and those of us throughout the country who are grieving the loss of President Carter. We'll now move into agenda item number 2, Chief Financial Officer update. Ken Kessler is going to provide us with an update on current issues.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next slide. There's the clicker. Okay, there's the next one. Okay, I just want to provide an update as usual on the Public Transportation Fund sales tax revenues through December. We just got the numbers a couple of days ago. So through December, we're up about a little over 1% for the year over year. We're about 1.5% below budget. We started out the year a little over 3% under budget. So we're making some progress towards getting back in line with budget. So things are slowly moving back into place there. I'm remiss, I did want to everybody greet you to the new year, and it's 2025. I know this body hasn't met for a while, so happy new year and welcome back. It seems like it's been a little while since we've convened, so I'm happy to be back with everyone here. One other item I wanted to provide a quick update on is our fare collection system modernization project. We have essentially transitioned all of the old legacy equipment and fare media out of service, and we now have all of the new system in place: the ticket vending machines, the new fare boxes, the validators for the new fare media, all the new fare media, as well as the mobile app being fully in play now. We are still working with customers, both organizational as well as individuals, to accommodate them if they have old fare media, to do exchanges and credits to ensure if they bought some of those old passes shortly before we transitioned, that they don't lose that value. So we're able to make those accommodations, and we're going to work through that in the coming months to make sure those organizational customers that provide fares to whatever groups that they're representing, and then as well individual customers, making sure that they're taken care of and they get that value that they purchased on the old passes transition to the new. Still working on some bugs with any new technology system. There's still some punch list items we're working through to resolve in some of the hardware and software, but we are fully transitioned, and it's been a long time coming. It's about 10 years ago, we started the planning for this process between Valley Metro and the City of Phoenix. So I'm very excited to finally have seen this through to this point, to have the new system in place. And we're hopeful that going forward, this is going to be a great convenience to customers in terms of how they pay their fares. So I just wanted to provide that update. And that concludes my update. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kessler. You're right. Happy New Year's, everyone. We haven't met in quite some time. And I would like to open up the floor first to our online participants. Do you have any questions online? Feel free to come off mute.
Not at this time.
Any questions in the room? Thank you so much. We'll receive this report for information. And we will move to agenda item number 3, FY25 first quarter budget review. Tyler Olson, Manager Budget and Operations Financial Control, will provide the first quarter budget review. Mr. Olson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. As Ken mentioned, this is our first meeting back. We would have presented this information in November, so it's a little behind, and we'll provide an update for Q2 next month. So you'll see a big change from the time I present this now till next month. I'll quickly walk us through the first quarter. Budget versus actuals, if we're right on target, we'd be about 25% spent. And as you know, we begin building our annual budget process about 9 months ahead of time, and so we'll expect some variances here. Sorry, is somebody changing this? I did not change this. All right, thank you. So jumping into the total sources of operating, they do tend to trail expenses by at least 30 days, excluding pass-throughs to Valley Metro Rail. Our total budget is $278 million. We've recorded just over $55 million or so. So we're about 20% collected so far. And similar to last year, our cash investments are performing very well. So we're taking advantage of that with the current market. As expected, first quarter, very light on the capital side of things. Primarily, we get reimbursed for these after the expenses take place, and we really don't have a whole lot on the expense side, which I'll get to as well. Moving on to the operating expenses. Most operating categories are within plan. As a whole, we're at 23% spent through Q1. Van pool operations is tracking slightly above plan, which is really a good story. It's primarily based on usage higher than planned. So people really taking advantage of that, combined with a new contract and some of the pricing for the vehicles, which they are enjoying. And the expenses are 100% covered by riders as well as federal revenue. So we do anticipate bringing a mid-year adjustment next month to cover van pool, as well as some other updates that we'll provide after we present that to your city staff this month. Moving on to capital expenses. As mentioned, not too much spent in the way of capital thus far. We do anticipate that changing as we move forward throughout the year. There's a handout included with line item variances, and these are the explanations for those. Operating variances really are seasonal at this point in time. We have a lot of annual subscription charges for such as items like software, memberships, things like that up front. So it's really a seasonality type thing that'll work itself out as we move through the year. And then on the capital side, same thing, annual networking costs there. So I'd be happy to address any questions on the RPTA side before we move to VMR.
Are there any questions for Mr. Olson? No question really from me. I just wanted to commend the fact that we had some interest earnings in the source of funds in excess of 400,000. And it indicated that wasn't exceeding our plan. So it's great that we're getting more interest than we had planned to. That's a nice source of income, and all of those, us really appreciate seeing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so moving on to Valley Metro Rail. Sources of funds are 20.8 million recorded to date, about 21% on the operating side of things. And then on the capital side, much slower. We do get large federal grant reimbursements after we spend the money. So and combined with these major contractor invoices tend to lag a little bit because they're very large and so much to review because these projects are very complex. So we'll expect that to catch up as we move forward. On the operating side of things, on the expense side, everything is within plan. You do see that security is a bit higher. There was a wage adjustment late in the fiscal year last year at the tail end of our budget process that was approved for a wage rate increase to provide better support. So that's what we're seeing at the 26%, just above 25% there. And we do plan on addressing that through the mid-year budget process that I mentioned next month, along with some of the capital projects that I'll mention here. So uses of funds, again, these invoices tend to lag a little bit. We have a very robust project controls team that manages the multi-year project budgets that we work with very closely. And we do anticipate bringing some adjustments upward for our capital program to you next month as we get through, to allow us to get through the fiscal year. So again, on the operating side of things, generally some seasonality here in these expenses. No concerns here. Overall, the operating budget as a whole is within plan. And then on the capital side of things, in the handout, you'll see some notes there. In particular, South Central, we do anticipate a large mid-year adjustment upward. You can see that the first thing pointed out here is with that project, there are several light rail vehicles. These are very expensive vehicles, very large lead time. So the budget for the year trending a little bit over on the actuals for sure, but we will correct that with the mid-year that I mentioned. It's really based around the timing of those payments. It's hard to anticipate when those vehicles are delivered. We order them because they are so technical, very complex systems on there that integrate with the rest of our system. And then on top of that, South Central being the first extension that will provide us a two-line system. There's a lot more testing and certification required, and with that we need operators essentially. And so we've added some operators and line controllers to help support those efforts that are required by FTA. And then a couple other ones there on artwork. Any questions before I move on?
We do have a question.
I have a question. Can you please explain the two-line system? Is that
I'd be happy to take
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, Council Member. When we open South Central Extension in Downtown Hub, currently we operate what we call a single line system, and that we begin in the east in Mesa, traveling west into Phoenix, and then ultimately northwest to our new Metro Center station. When we open South Central, we will now have two separate lines. We will have a line that runs from Central and Baseline in the south, north to Metro Center. And then we will have a line that runs east to west from Gilbert and Maine all the way down to downtown Phoenix. So what that means is these two lines have to connect with one another so that a customer, for example, if they would like to travel from Central and Baseline to 44th Street to access Sky Harbor Airport, then they would make a transfer in downtown. Those train lines have to intersect. We also have to be able to operate patterns. For example, it will be technically feasible to run a train all the way from Mesa up to Northwest, or up the Northwest Extension to Metro Center, which is what we're doing today, or from Mesa to Baseline and Central. And so typically our systems integrated testing, which is already a rather complicated process, now has additional layers because we'll be doing testing on the existing system as well, because those two lines do have to merge. It's a process that's already underway, and actually later this month, the public should begin seeing test trains running south from downtown Phoenix. So this is all part of a process, and it's a planned process.
So do the lines intersect in downtown?
They do.
Okay, I know where it's at. Okay.
Yeah.
I
they
just
do.
didn't understand, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they do intersect in downtown. We've also added, working with City of Phoenix and our contractor, we've also added project elements, including an operator restroom facility in downtown Phoenix that was not originally included in the design, but we think is just essential for the on-time performance of our system and also quality of life for our team members.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Right, so moving on to the last slide here, Northwest Two, it's obviously in operation. We're working on kind of the remaining costs for that project, and so having additional personnel costs than planned just due to some of the timing on finishing that project. But again, we're well within the multi-year project budget for Northwest and our annual appropriation by the board. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions that subcommittee may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olson. Any questions? Any other questions? I don't see any additional questions coming from our online participants. Mr. Olson's report will be received for information only. Thank you so much. Moving to item number 4, our prior meeting minutes from October 3rd. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review the minutes. I am looking for a motion and a second.
This is Jennifer Adams. So moved.
Second. Discussion.
Is there any discussion?
I have a discussion point.
The motion was presented by Jennifer Adams, second by Peggy McMahon. We have a question here in the room.
I have a question because on the top, it shows that I'm on the phone, but then when roll call happened, I'm not sure if I was on the phone at that moment, but at what moment does it get captured?
If you are arriving on the call late or walk into the room after roll call,
Okay.
I make that in my meeting notes.
Okay,
And I will correct it. But you did attend by
Yeah,
phone.
yeah.
So, yeah, I just track it as the meeting progresses, when members join and depart the meetings.
perfect. I was at that meeting. I know I was at
Yeah.
that meeting, so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, where is it presented? And I know I was.
So at the very top where it says meeting participants, that anybody that's listed there is who was at the meeting. And then the roll call is sort of a verification for me for a later, when I go to put all these together.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any further discussion? Without further discussion, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We will move on to agenda item 5. The Audit and Finance Subcommittee may vote to enter executive session for discussion or consultation with designated representatives of the public body in order to discuss security plans, procedures, assessments, measures, or systems relating to or having an impact on the security or safety of buildings, facilities, operations, critical infrastructure, information, and information technology maintained by Valley Metro, more specifically, the cybersecurity training audit as authorized by ARS Section 38-431.03A9. I will entertain a motion to move into executive session.
I move that we go into executive session.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Pastor, a second by Councilmember McMahon. We will move into executive session. Those on the line, I believe you were sent an additional link to join our executive session. Please leave this link and we will join you shortly. Thank you.
Chair, could we please take a vote?
Oh, all right, thank you. Point of order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Just reading.
What?
Yeah, for sure.
Only because of that I thought. Make sure it's gotcha.
Right.
Because you know how they'll use those for.
No, that's Thank you so much for taking our time. We're wrapping up our executive session and I will entertain a motion. Our staff recommends that we take action on the items discussed in executive session. I have a motion by Councilmember Pastor.
I'll second that
Second.
motion.
I have a second by Vice Mayor Jimmy Davis. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? The motion carries. Thank you so much. We are going to move to item number 7, internal audit charter reviews. Beckstrom will present this for us, our chief auditor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the 2025 internal audit charter has some mild, small changes to it. The Institute of Internal Auditors has updated the global standards that govern the practice of internal auditing. And really, I took a look at the charter this year, and everything within the charter that we currently do is still accurate. It's just the reference to that actual document. They are now called the Global Audit Standards as opposed to the International Professional Practices Framework. And so I edited the document to change that, as well as I'm requesting signatures again because those who signed the charter in 2020 are no longer at Valley Metro. So we need to update the signatures on the charter. Are there any questions?
How soon would we need to update the signatures?
Is there?
Today? Thank you. Any additional questions? I'm requesting a motion to accept the internal audit chair's updates.
So moved.
Second.
I have the motion from Councilmember McMahon, the second from Councilmember Adams. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? The motion carries. We're moving to item number 8, credit card transactions audit results. Larry Condrat, Audit Manager, will present the results of our credit card transaction audit for acceptance.
Madam Chair, Larry is out sick today, so I'll be presenting these results as well.
I think he's listening. Larry, get better if you're at home watching this, sorry. Thank you so much, our Chief Auditor. Go ahead, Ms. Beckstrom. Thank you.
As noted, we completed the credit card transactions audit for this fiscal year. The internal audit reviewed the transactions. We review them continuously on an annual basis for adherence to Valley Metro policies and procedures. Internal audit reviewed 21% of fiscal year 24 credit card transactions and determined that Valley Metro had moderately effective credit card controls, but can be strengthened. So that's the risk rating. Let's move on from that. Okay. So some of the credit card transactions were not in compliance with policy as staff made purchases that were outside of approved spending limits, were considered prohibited purchases according to policy, or did not always have proper pre-approvals or supporting documentation. The Finance Division will be addressing the findings by meeting with Valley Metro leadership to recommend policy changes that include more specific disciplinary actions to take and or recommend more consistent enforcement procedures with unauthorized or prohibited purchases, and also updating the management policy to add requirements for mandatory annual trainings for all card holders and authorized users. Are there questions about this audit?
I'll open up the floor first to those who are participating online. Any questions?
Yeah, this is Jennifer. Yeah, I guess I'm just like hardcore about these kinds of things with the security, anything with security and anything with not having appropriate purchases. And I think that we should take a very pretty strict, I mean, I want them to be trained. I want the employees to be trained so they have the opportunity to succeed. But if they're making inappropriate purchases, I mean, this is the taxpayers' money, and the agency, still has a reputation for, unfortunately, for previous management. And I just think that we need to do everything we can to increase our reputation and not have any holes in the system that could be brought up by the media or anyone anywhere else, to assure our taxpayers that we are doing everything we can to make sure everything's proper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Adams. Vice Mayor Davis?
I agree. We need a pretty strict policy in place for any type of financial situation. So if there's some questionable charges coming up on credit cards, we need to. There should be some strict punishment or reaction to that.
Councilmember McMahon?
Do you know the percentages of like the wrong purchases or the not pre-approved purchases? Or, you know, a little bit more information on it? Because sometimes, having been a prior cardholder myself, you can't always get pre-approval for some things, but yet you need it, or you're in a place where you have to make that particular credit card. So I'm kind of wondering, like, where is the ratio in the wrong or the inappropriate versus the ones that were not approved, which are inappropriate too, probably, but.
Thank you for the question, Madam Chair, Councilmember McMahon. Stacy Cunningham, the lead auditor on our audit, has come to the chair to answer some questions.
Members of the committee, council member, thank you for your question. So 92% were in compliance. We looked at 544 transactions. Roughly 45 either they weren't 100% perfect. So as an auditor, we look, is it perfect, yes or no? And then of the ones that we found, really 26 we put in the report. So about 8%, 92% compliance, 8% weren't. Nothing really stood out as being necessarily a big issue. I think what we took at it, we looked at it from an internal controls perspective. So although a purchase might have been approved and accepted verbally or just an understanding, yes, you know, go buy that, the documentation, the paper trail wasn't necessarily complete. And so we're looking at, you know, what does the policy say? It says that you have to have this form, you have to have these approvals. And if those weren't there, we counted that as that was out of compliance. So there was about 8% that weren't.
Thank you for that, because that's important to know. We're at least at 92. I think all of us that serve and everybody that is part of Valley Metro, we serve the public, and the public would want us at probably at 100%. But we're humans, and there are situations that it possibly will come out in the findings. I'm hoping that we strive to maybe 100%, but at least give us, we're at 92, so maybe we push to become 98, 99, I don't know. You guys will determine where we can go so that next year in the audit, we're above 92. But this is a similar issue that was in the audit in fall 2023. So it is a pattern of practice that is going on, and the culture of practice needs to change. I personally think, once again, it goes back to training. So these are all the required trainings that need to be done yearly. Possibly, if not or out of compliance, then it's not a slap on the hand. There's a written notice, it goes in your file, it's part of your evaluation. That's something that I think the organization needs to discuss with HR. And how do we get to our percentage rate and make sure that we are all in compliance. And I get it, we understand. There's emergencies. I'm probably one of them. I'll just use me. There are moments where I'm like, I'm sorry, I know I have to follow these procedures, but we're in this type of emergency. Can you, and this is with the city manager, can you assist me with this? So I think like to get to 95, but I really would like to get to 100. And I don't know, that would be the determinant of the organization as to what percentage we want to work towards. Because I'm not sure when the next audit will be. And we can get there. Those are just my thoughts and some concerns. I appreciate that we're doing this because as stated earlier, we had a proposition. People are not always there on transportation. If they could find a ding on us, they'll go for it. And for me, I want them to find excellence. And so that's just where I'm coming from. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm taking a look at the recommendations, and I have a bit of concern as well, because I think there might be a mix between policy and procedure and reality. And I would hate to be in the movement of finding corrective action be the answer to the question where we might be able to massage and review that policy and procedure again. And I know we'd asked to have that done in the past. Some purchases, you just can't get the CEO's signature, but you do have to get something purchased. So I think that might have been part of some of the things that we were finding. I do believe, though, I'm really excited to see one of the recommendations is that annual refresher training for all cardholders. That to me is really what's going to make the difference. We drive down risk when we have pre-approvals. We drive down risk of fraud, abuse, or wasteful spending when we know in advance what we're spending. It's the whole budget and finance process. It's the right thing to do. So I appreciate the work that was done. I'm very sensitive, which is why I opened up the floor and asked for comments from everybody, because when things swipe, it's easy to have things swiped. So I just want us to be very cautious for this. I do want to, without any additional comments, I'm requesting a motion to accept the credit card transaction audit.
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilmember McMahon, a second from Councilmember Pastor. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No opposition, the motion carries. Thank you. We're moving to item number 9, travel expense and reimbursement audit results. We're not going to have Larry here with us today, again, hoping he's well. We're going to go back to our chief auditor, Ms. Beckstrom.
Me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm going to present the results of the travel expenses and reimbursement audit. Internal audit reviews travel expenses and reimbursement similar to the annual credit card audits. We review these continuously and on an annual basis for effective adherence with Valley Metro's policies and procedures. Internal audit reviewed 65% of the fiscal year 24 out-of-state travel expenses and determined that Valley Metro had effective controls over these processes, and there were no findings for this audit period. Are there any questions related to this audit?
Any questions in the room? Any questions online? Thank you so much, Larry, and also Ms. Beckstrom, for this. I'm going to request a motion to accept the travel expense and reimbursement audit results.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Pastor, a second by Councilmember McMahon. Any discussion? I would like to thank you for not having any findings. I appreciate that. Much, much appreciated. That's hard. That's a lot. That's a lot. We'll call for our vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? The motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving to item number 10, internal audit update. We return to Sabrina Beckstrom, Chief Audit Officer. She's going to provide an update on actions taken in the internal audit, external reviews, and prior audit findings and recommendations. Ms. Beckstrom, this is back to you. Thank you.
This is my last item, I promise.
Sure.
So as you've just heard, we've completed the IT cybersecurity training audit, the travel expenses and reimbursement audit, and the credit card transactions audit. And we've also completed 2 internal safety and security audits. Those are part of the 9 that we do every year for our safety and security and quality assurance division. Those 2 are related to personal security program and procurement, the elements within that program. We also have an operator fitness for duty audit that we've just kicked off, and a Valley Metro employee mileage reimbursement process audit that is underway as well as a change management audit for IT. In the last, because we haven't met in a while, in the last 3 months, 3 recommendations have been implemented, and we are currently still tracking 10 recommendations that are in the process of being implemented. Are there any questions related to any of these items?
Any questions? Ms. Beckstrom, question, operator fitness for duty, is that a new audit or?
It's an audit on the fiscal year 25 audit plan.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Without any questions, this item is presented for information only. We'll move to item number 11. Intergovernmental agreement, contract change orders, amendments, and awards. Intergovernmental agreements and change orders, amendments, and awards that appear on the board agendas are provided for information. If any AFS members have questions regarding these items, please reach out to Valley Metro staff. Pat will be able to field that question for you if you don't know who to send that to. So just direct those to Pat Dillon, and she will make sure the appropriate member of Valley Metro staff is engaged. Moving to item number 12, we can take report on current events and suggested future agenda items. Do we have any from our members who are online? Any current events or suggested future agenda items for folks in the room? Okay, well, with that, we will, I would just like to thank everybody again for your service on AFS. Congratulations to making it into the new year. We have a lot of work ahead of us, a lot of information that we are going to be processing. As Councilmember Pastor referred to before, 479 crossed the line. So our fiscal responsibility and our partnership with Maricopa Association government's really gonna matter as we move forward each and every day. So let's just continue to find ways to be collaborative, fiscally responsible, and engaged in our cities, towns, villages, and making sure that we are providing the best transit options for the folks in the Valley. Our next meeting of AFS is scheduled for Thursday, February 6th at 12 p.m. Without any additional items, I'd like to call our meeting closed. Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you.